I think that the greatest threat at the moment is the assumption or delusion of escalation control, that we can continue to escalate rhetoric, actions, but still be able to bring it down when we want to. I think this miscalculation is just a disaster waiting to happen. And we see now that the Russian Oreshnik missiles are heading to Belarus because, again, they see this as a real threat. But I did want to shift a bit towards the Middle East, because you had the opportunity there at the UN to speak with the Iranian president. How are they assessing the information, the situation? Because it does seem, at least from my viewpoint, that we might be heading towards yet another war with Iran, but this time it will probably play out very differently and take on a whole new level of violence. I'm hoping I'm just a very pessimistic human being, but what were your impressions from this meeting with Iran's president?
Well, I met this year in a group again with President Pezeshkian, as I had last year, and on both occasions the president spoke eloquently for peace. And he spoke as a medical doctor, as a surgeon, as a healer, and as someone who was looking for diplomacy and for peace. And it's not only extraordinarily measured, but extraordinarily pacific in the rhetoric. No threats. Actually, one felt very sad because one knew, and I felt as I was listening to him, that we can hear the hatred coming from Israel. We heard it from Netanyahu, and I think a very high likelihood that Israel will try to attack again to bring down the Iranian government. But there was no growling by the Iranian side saying if they do this and that, or it was all a talk about the need for a peaceful way out. Yet, unfortunately, in our world right now, if you talk in that way, the other side, which is filled with loathing, detects weakness. And I think that what we heard from Netanyahu was very clear. In his demented mind, and he's really, in my view, an extraordinarily, perhaps the most extraordinarily dangerous person on the whole planet. In his mind, all evil goes back to Iran. Iran must be defeated. He said this absolutely clearly. He talked about the new day that's going to come in Iran. It all seemed to me to be a prelude to another war and another attack, I should say, because in one way or another, the war has gone on endlessly. And Netanyahu was delighted to recount all of the assassinations that Israel has carried out, all of the decapitation of the Iranian government and others, all of the murders of negotiators with Israel, because Netanyahu's style is if the other side is negotiating, you kill the negotiator because you're trying to kill the negotiations themselves, because you're trying to conquer. You're not trying to solve a problem or find a peaceful agreement. You're trying to conquer. And that's basically what Netanyahu said, and what Pezeshkian said was the opposite of that. This is one of the tragedies that we've seen in this world actually for decades, but we can see it visibly in full view for the last decade, that Iran has said repeatedly, we want to negotiate, and every time Iran negotiates, it gets hammered. The first time was negotiating a comprehensive plan of action, the JCPOA, which not only was negotiated by then President Barack Obama and the others with Iran, but it went into effect, and then Trump came in and ripped up the agreement and ripped up the basis for a negotiated settlement. The United States and Israel then continued to attack Iran one way or another. Israel launching attacks on Iran and making assassinations of Iranian leaders. When Trump came in this time, he said, we're going to negotiate. And there were 5 rounds of discussion, with both sides reporting positive progress. And then just before the 6th round, Israel and the United States attacked Iran. Well, this is Netanyahu's strategy for the last 30 years. Bring the United States into a widening war in the Middle East to be culminated with the overthrow of the Iranian government. And Netanyahu is still trying. He could not have been more clear at the United Nations, a speech filled with hate and lies and warmongering.
Well, it just seems that these endless wars we have, they don't only take their lives, infrastructure and prosperity, but in these efforts that something always have to be justified, something that shouldn't be justified. One gets the feeling it, drains the almost soul of a nation and the people. And I got this almost hopeless feeling when I watched Petraeus and Jolani sit on stage and just, gushing over each other, how they were on different sides, but now they found, peace. And of course, my main concern is what is the purpose of this partnership? Do you see? I guess they're not done with Syria just yet. What was your takeaway from this exchange? Because for me, this was, extraordinary to watch. I know the CIA and the different Syrian jihadist groups have worked very close, but still, the efforts to whitewash this all and make it into a respectable partner for unknown purposes going forward. I don't know. What was your takeaway?
Netanyahu also explained this, that, we have a wonderful friend next door in Syria now, and I expect that we're going to make peace soon. Well, it's very simple. In 2011, and Petraeus was very much there and involved, the Obama administration decided to overthrow the government of Bashar al-Assad. This was done at the behest of Netanyahu. This is one of Netanyahu's many wars in which he uses the United States, uses the U.S. government, the U.S. military, the U.S. taxpayer to fight his wars. Let me just say before I get back to Syria, what is Netanyahu's intention? That Israel dominates the Middle East in power, in effective hegemony, but that it completely dominates Palestine, that basically the Palestinians are written out of history, even mass slaughtered or ethnically cleansed from Palestine. So what Netanyahu has said since 1996 is that there will never be a state of Palestine. This is what he reiterated at the UN. And we will overthrow any government that opposes us in our domination of all of Palestine. It's mind-boggling in its brutality and in its delusion. Israel, around 10 million population, wants to dominate a region of hundreds of millions of people, including by destroying the population of Palestinian Arabs in their midst, which equal the number of Israeli Jews, roughly speaking, at about 8 million people each. So this is Netanyahu's strategy, and every country that he calls a supporter of Palestine, therefore, needs to be overthrown. One of those was the Syrian government of Bashar al-Assad. And in 2011, at Netanyahu's behest, Obama and Hillary Clinton launched the overthrow of Bashar al-Assad. Well, as in so many of American CIA-led misadventures, that's a soft term for it, this was 14 years of bloodshed and war, which claimed hundreds of thousands of lives and destroyed much of Syria and much of the ancient Syria, which is a heritage of all of human civilization. Well, finally, the result was that after 14 years, Israel and the United States brought a jihadist government to power, and they think it's their puppet. And maybe for the moment, it is their puppet. This is hardly a stable, legitimate government, nor a peaceful government, because we know that there is mass violence, retributive murder underway, large parts of the Syrian population at a grave risk, and new violence could explode. But this is a puppet regime entirely. And so the words of Petraeus, who gets everything wrong all the time anyway, and the words of Netanyahu were completely aligned in the last 3 days about this wonderful new government that Israel and the United States installed in Syria, and how it's going to make peace with Israel and do all these wonderful things. Absolutely astounding. Remember, Petraeus is also the one who told us that in 2023, Ukraine's counteroffensive was going to drive Ukraine to the Sea of Azov, and Russia was going to be defeated, and all the rest. The man's a walking disaster. So you can have the rank of general and be wrong on everything. And he is in that class.